everyone. Welcome to this week's weekly RV report for the last week of the month, Friday, June 27th, 2025. My, how time goes. And we have no shortage of information as always. So once again, if you are new to the podcast, please do like, subscribe, and share so that helps the channel grow and others to gain the knowledge you're currently being afforded. As you know, I'm not a financial advisor, nor is this constituted as financial advice. It's merely quality information for you to use for your own personal discernment. A couple of housekeeping items that we need to address. We are off for a week. Podcasts will resume back on Monday, July 7th. No RV report next week in observance of obviously one of the country's most important and distinguished days on the 4th of July, and certainly one of the most important we've had in quite a while. Now let's get started. In the nation of Iraq, President Trump is making the 12-day war ceasefire peace deal happen in historic fashion. We believe as a team that this is either officially the grave surrender of Iran or it's certainly leading to that within however many days. That coupled with the big, beautiful tax bill signing that's coming, the fourth holiday we just mentioned, the inevitable resignation of Jerome Powell, and the likely hiring of Judy Shelton as a replacement under the Treasury/Fed, as well as the ISO 20022 implementation on July 14th, and of course, Basel III implementation internationally on July 1st, Tuesday, makes this the perfect recipe for what we all know is coming RV-wise. And I'd like to play for you and show you a couple of screenshots here that we think are pretty important that illustrate this point that we're trying to make. So here's Mossad commentary from X. The U.S. and Israel are demanding from Iran to transfer all enriched uranium or they will be attacked again. We know that's just an optical, tactical threat. It's just to keep them honest and let the public, basically those who don't know what we know, what's coming front and center. Now, here is the aforementioned clip that we talked about that I'm going to play for you. And this is Steve Witkoff talking about said Israel-Iran ceasefire peace deal.
One of the president's key objectives is that the Abraham Accords be expanded, that more countries come into it. And we are working on that on my team and in coordination with the Secretary of State and the entire State Department. And we think we're going to have some pretty big announcements on countries that are now coming into the Abraham Peace Accords. And we're hoping for normalization across an array of countries that maybe people would have never contemplated would come in. So we're excited for that prospect. That will also be a stabilizer in the Middle East.
Okay, so that's a key demarcation point right there. Let me get off the screen here. I'll get back. So there's several key subpoints that we'd like to make, folks. Number one, the dinar has not hit the Forex yet. I've checked with my team. I've even reached out to good friend Mark Z to look into it more deeply. It has not hit yet. There's no need to get overly eager, folks. We will all know when this happens on the global stage. It's going to be announced on all the major financial networks. It'll be all over the internet, as we've said many times before. The grave surrender of Iran and the stock market crashing down has not occurred yet. Think logically, folks, not emotionally. Control your impulses to do that. That's something you got to work on, or the mindset shift. Number two, on July 14th, as previously stated, ISO 20022 will be implemented with the FedWire service. Someone commented on our Rumble channel saying that the Fed is not gone yet. Yes, they are. You don't realize, whoever that was, that the Fed was baked into the Treasury in 2020. We have shown that paperwork several times over for those who've been following our podcast for quite some time. You can go into previous podcasts last year for archives on your own for more of that information. This is the easiest way for Trump and the Patriots to sell to the normies to accept the transition as they summarily audit Fort Knox, which shows, as Q said, that we do in fact have the gold, then audit the Fed, which everybody will be behind because nobody likes taxes or interest rates, and then remove it for the public to see what we here already know. Now, to further illustrate that point, one of our key team members confirmed that her family member who is in risk management, specifically at the highest banking level, shared with us that they advise other banks with respect to protection of their customers' data and that they are no longer using the cloud-based system, that SWIFT has been ostensibly phased out and the new QFS system, ISO 20022, is in place, and that they're even hiring people to manage the responsibilities and implementation of said new system. So folks, we have our finger as a team on the pulse of what's really happening quite well, some of which you don't yet see. Remember, President Trump is going to do this in such a way where he has the most seamless of transitions and has the least amount of collateral damage to the public. The foundation has already been set years ago. Please be mindful of that. Additionally, you'll note that he's speaking next Thursday, July 23rd, at the 250th kickoff rally in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Some of you were wondering when you were going to see that. You're about to see it. It's a major comm for the rollout that's happening in real time. Now I'd like to take you to our next screenshot here. So just bear with us, folks. And this article will show you that Ghana has basically approved a $2.8 billion debt relief deal with creditor nations, a clear and present sign of GESARA in full effect. I'm just going to go down here. This is according to Reuters a couple days ago on the 25th. So you can see that for posterity, and it involves several nations. So this is just another rollout of NESARA GESARA for the public to see. Now we want to show you another clip as we move forward to the crypto side of things. So please bear with us here. This is an important update. As we await next month's aforementioned events, CNBC reported, even the mainstream media is reporting this earlier this week, that the Federal Housing Financing Agency, or commonly known as FHFA, as it's known, will allow you to use cryptos to finance or buy your mortgage outright. Yes, debt forgiveness and Jubilee is in play, but this still offers folks who have the ability, who have enough cryptos, if they so desire. We're not saying you should, but it's an option. It's just showing you what's coming up with the new system, immediate relief for those in the greatest need. It's as well as another way that you can buy a home or land going forward post-RV if you wish to. You can also use precious metals, of course, but here is the article, or excuse me, the video that you can see where this is further illustrated. Take a listen.
He is the conservator of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. He just posted on X, after significant studying and in keeping with President Trump's vision to make the United States the crypto capital of the world, today I ordered the great Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to prepare their businesses to count cryptocurrency as an asset for a mortgage. Interesting, in the note, he then has a release from the FHFA, whereas cryptocurrency is an emerging asset class that may offer an opportunity to build wealth outside of the stock market and bond markets. Cryptocurrency has not typically been considered in the mortgage risk assessment process for the mortgage from mortgage loans delivered to the enterprises without converting that cryptocurrency into dollars. So he is now, this is not happening immediately, but he is directing Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to prepare proposals for consideration of crypto as an asset for reserves in their respective single-family mortgage loan risk assessments. So that means that your crypto can back your mortgages. Now, this is an interesting play because there is actually a startup company called Milo, which already does this, and it's been slowly moving into the mortgage market in that way. Some people buy and sell in crypto on their own. But for Fannie and Freddie to use crypto as a backstop for their mortgages, that's going to be interesting going forward, as we know how volatile crypto.
So this further illustrates the point, folks, about how crypto and the new asset-backed digital economy is coming into play. This also further explains, folks, why the banks are scaling down their mortgage divisions. They're not going to be needed anymore. That should be another sign to you of what's coming. Now, before we go forward on the crypto side, I want to back up a minute ago. This is Judy Shelton. We talked about how President Trump floated her in his first term to see how a swamp-filled Congress and Senate would react, and it was almost 50-50 back then. So would stand to reason that she should be a surefire bet, and not Scott Bessent, we believe will likely be the new Treasury / Fed chair, because like we said, Fed was baked in Treasury, as you know, a while ago. Here's an article she put up on X, Federal Reserve's fatal conceit. So he's just playing the role, Powell, as the bad guy for this, as he drops the rates before he's removed. She's brought in, and you know the rest is history. Now, transitioning back to cryptos, for those of you who are XRP lovers like ourselves, Ripple confirms XRP legal status after Judge Torres blocks joint SEC settlement motion. So in English, what this means is that they're moving forward with the settlement. It's already been done behind the scenes. Again, pay attention. This is for optics. She's basically saying she's not going to back down on the penalty. So they really shouldn't have to pay anything at all, meaning Ripple. But this is just to try to make it look like it's unbiased to for Ripple against the SEC, even though we already know that this has been dealt with. So they will have to pay the $125 million civil penalty. I believe $50 million is what they owe, and 75 will go back into some Treasury-based fund at some point to go back to the people, shareholders, and the like. So this just gives you another insight as to what's going on with respect to the cryptos. So that we've covered that summarily. Now, as we wrap up with commodities, precious metals. So here are the latest numbers at the time of this broadcast so that you can see what we've done in real time there. You can see the date for posterity. As of the time of the broadcast, crude oil is trading. It's had a downward trend since President Trump told Iran not to close the Strait of Hormuz. So far, they've complied with that. It's now trading down to $65.79. It's about a $7.50 drop from last week. It was as low as $63.84 earlier this morning. Gold is down slightly at $3,283.60, another buying opportunity. Similarly with silver, down to $35.98. But what's interesting, folks, is the dollar index is now down to 97.23. So as our good friend B came in and told you, his projected price or number for Dixie is 80, I believe you said 83. Bill Holter said it could go as low as 60 on one of our podcasts, which we'll be having him again next month to talk to him about that and continue that refrain from his perspective. So be watching the Dixie very carefully, folks, because that's going to tell its own tale. Now, this is, you'll forgive me as I go back, folks. I just want to circle back on Iraq real quick. This came out this morning, courtesy of our buddy Big Joe Williams, found this on X Brothers Technology. Sherwin Dubardani, Iraq MP, announced a very positive oil export talk between Baghdad and the KRG, that's the Kurdistan region. Talks began yesterday at 5 p.m., resulting in agreement tied to the amendment at $16. They've already done it, folks, but they've got to continue like us. We gin up a narrative here. So do they. Again, remember, the countries copy each other. So there are going to be some meetings next week where they get this up in front of scenes for the public to see. And we would like to show you one other quick article here, folks. This we put on our Telegram. This is pretty important. This came from SG and Laura on, let's see here, on Q News Patriot. With metrics adjusted for the Dixie we just talked about and hyperinflation, because as the dollar loses value optically with competition, that brings up hyperinflation. And with interest rates dropping, that's going to tank the market. So you can see that with the grave surrender of Iran. These are the indicators, folks, we believe you should be looking at and not worrying about the Forex or chasing dates and rates and all that nonsense. It's not necessary. This is what you want to be looking at, how the details come together. That's why you're here. So silver as an asset is broken up and out of a 50-year wedge formation in the markets. Next stop, the sky. So you can see here, it's coming out of that wedge. Lynette Zhang told you last week that the cup and handle is ending with silver. So again, you put these pieces together, it tells a very true and compelling story that silver is going to break out. And we believe, our own personal opinion, that we're going to be looking at somewhere between 250 to 500 by the end of this year with silver, especially as it breaks the 50 and 75 mark. Because as you pull that slingshot back, it has an opposite reaction to all the suppression. So that does it for this week's RV report. As always, any breaking news, we will bring it out to you as we did last weekend with the historical attacks on the Iranian power plants down 300 feet below, not at the top. We'll bring that to you. Otherwise, folks, have a great, safe weekend. Have a wonderful, safe, and patriotic 4th. This is going to be a very special one leading in all the way into the continuation of next year, as President Trump said. God bless. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.